I was having one of those terrible weeks last week, and when it came time to get ready to preach, I started feeling led to this one passage, and as I read the whole passage, I fell into this verse. Philippians 4:4, rejoice in the Lord always. I will say it again, rejoice. That's the Apostle Paul writing to his church in Corinth, and when I read it, it was almost like, wouldn't you love to smack Paul sometimes? Of course, sometimes when I read the scripture, I get the distinct impression that if I smacked him, he'd smack me back. But seriously, rejoice always? Who is he trying to kid? He doesn't know what I'm going through. Nobody knows the trouble I've seen. See, Paul just doesn't get me, but then nobody does. And then that still small voice comes in and reminds you of the shipwrecks and the beatings and the fact that Paul wrote this note from a Roman prison, and well, that only makes it worse. Paul moves up to spiritual superhero in my mind, and I move all the way down to the spiritual equivalent of the 98-pound weakling from the old Charles Atlas fitness ads. And you know what? If what Paul said is true in another passage, that God's strength is made perfect in our weakness, then maybe that weakness is not such a bad place to be. When I'm weak, then he is strong. I said it a little bit ago that Paul doesn't know what I'm going through, and that's probably true. Paul had enough problems of his own. But God does know it all, and I get the distinct impression that God did not have Paul write this passage for when everything is lollipops and rainbows. After all, we don't need to be reminded to rejoice when everything's going our way, do we? No, we need to be reminded to rejoice when we can't even imagine a reason to rejoice. Now, let's not waste our time playing the compare the reasons for being upset game. You know, that's where you say, hey, buddy, you think you got problems? We all experience what we experience the way we experience it due to a lifetime of, well, experiences. When you get hit with negative feelings, it's the way you feel, and at that moment, you don't need guilt as much as we need to find the source of joy. See, a few minutes ago, I misquoted a little. I said rejoice always to launch into this little tirade, and in the process, I left out the three most important words. It doesn't say rejoice always, it's a rejoice in the Lord always. I will say it again, rejoice. Those three little words, in the Lord, make all the difference. So the next time you're feeling like you can't find a reason to rejoice, you need to look to the source of all joy. When you're feeling down, the best thing you can do is look up. Look to the one who overcame it all, realize he loves you, and rejoice.